Hi, everybody. We're back.
Finally.
Welcome to Jackalopes Fire TV. My name's Chuck. With me, as usual, is my sister, Priscilla. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good.
It's been too long.
It's been a year.
It's been way too long.
We've seen each other. We just haven't done this in like a year.
And hopefully I know we've said this before, but hopefully this will change.
I blame John. I put the blame solely on John.
That's interesting since he's not actually part of the podcasting team.
No, I know. I mean, I can't blame you and I can't blame me. We're both sitting right here. That'd be rude.
Yeah, that's true. I blame Shannon.
Oh, okay. There you go. She's not here.
No, she's not here. We'll blame Shannon.
So, anyway,
so before we get into it, I have some exciting news to share with our viewers, if you're still out there.
Hi. We're sorry.
We're sorry. Wizard World, Austin, Halloween weekend. I'll be there.
Yes. You'll be there.
I will be there.
You won't be alone, but I won't be there.
No, unfortunately, you're not going to make it this year. I am hosting a panel again. Be the third year in a row that we've had a panel at Wizard World Austin.
Yes, third year in a row. I had to think about that for a second. Yeah, third year in a row. And the fourth Wizard World convention.
Yes.
That we've done, that JOF has done a panel at.
Yes. This year, in your absence, I do have a couple of other panelists joining me. A friend of mine named Elisa, and also my co-host for my other podcasting project, Rebel Ice TV, Shannon, who is responsible for us not recording, will be there with me as well.
Don't let her see this till after you do the panel.
Right. So we are going to have a panel there. It's going to be on Saturday, Halloween Day, at 4 p.m.
Right on.
So very excited about that. This year, we're actually venturing out of the fan fiction realm.
Wow.
And we're covering body image and cosplay.
Cool.
So I think that's a topic a lot of people can relate to right now and should spark a very interesting discussion.
Yeah, it's one I would like to participate in, but timing just didn't work out for me.
Unfortunately, yeah. But it should still be a great panel. And as usual, it will be recorded and posted on JOF TV once it gets edited and everything. So even if you can't make it, you can still see the panel once we post it on JOF TV.
Right.
Also, slightly mentioned it a minute ago, I do have another podcasting side project now. As you probably are aware by now, I am a hockey fan. And you're not.
It's not so much that I'm not, it's just that I'm really not.
No, I'm aware. And so it makes it difficult to have hockey-related discussions on JOF TV. Plus, I know that we talk about anything, but it doesn't really fit with the anything we usually discuss.
Right, and although it would, if we both enjoyed it. And
right.
I think that's what actually makes the anything work, is that we'll talk about anything, but usually it's something we're both interested in. Whether we both like it or not isn't the point. It's a topic we're both interested in, and this doesn't interest me at all.
Right.
In fact, I love you. I do. I've tried watching it, but it is so boring to me. I can see how a hockey fan would enjoy it, but it's very boring to me.
And I won't go into all the reasons that I love hockey right now, because they are a vast many reasons.
That would be a podcast in and of itself. That'd be like 3 or 4 podcasts in and of themselves.
Yeah. So, to have a forum to discuss hockey and all things related to it, JOF Productions actually has a secondary broadcast now. My friend Shannon, who just moved here from Georgia a few months ago and immediately became a more hardcore hockey fan than me, co-hosts it with me. It's Rebel Ice TV, or RITV, which has its own channel on YouTube. You can look it up. RITV, Rebel Ice is the channel name. And check it out. We cover mostly Texas hockey because we're in Texas. Mostly the Texas Stars because they're right here in the Austin area.
And let's face it, when you think hockey, you think God, it's hot enough in Texas. Let's have some hockey.
Right? Texas and hockey are practically synonymous.
I love the fact that even though it is Texas hockey, everybody that plays is still Canadian.
Not everybody.
It's a lot of French names on the team.
There's some Canadians. There's some Americans, though. In fact, my favorite player is from Michigan.
That might as well be Canada. You've met our father.
Touche.
Honestly, Michigan.
Don't diss the Yankees, man. So anyway, we do have another JOF production. So if you're interested in hockey at all, specifically Texas or Dallas Stars hockey, check it out.
Rebel Ice on YouTube.
And
because RITV doesn't bring up anything.
It will eventually. It's a tag I'm using. It'll be a thing.
Yeah, I'm sure. But right now it's bringing up completely different things.
Russian stuff.
RITV means something in another language.
In Russia.
So, Rebel Ice. That's the easiest way to find it right now.
Yes, it is. And that one is solely about hockey.
Right.
It's not like JOF TV where we kind of go here and there and everywhere. This is solely about hockey. So, and it's fun. I'm having fun with it.
And that's all that's important.
It's a good outlet.
Having a good time.
So, moving on to JOF. There has been a lot of stuff going on in the last year.
Well, yeah. I mean, time passes, things happen.
The most recent bit of news that I heard is that the ratings of Doctor Who in the UK are at an all-time low.
Yes. Nobody likes the new stuff.
So I feel vindicated.
Yeah.
Because I've been saying since Moffat took over that it was crap. I feel vindicated.
I don't think that it's... I mean, yes, you have to put some of the blame on Moffat because he is the showrunner, but he's not the problem. Because Moffat has put out some very good quality stuff. And as showrunner, he has given the freedom to the other writers to put out some very good quality stuff. I think the problem is the storylines that are coming out don't feel the same that they did when the show first came back. Let's face it, no one, not Chris Eccleston, not Matt, and not Peter, no one has lived up to what Tennant did.
This is true.
He embodied the character so well that nobody has really embraced, or not nobody, but not as many people have really embraced the show with Tennant gone. And that's a shame since it's been, 5 years? 6, 7, 8, I don't know.
But I don't think that that's the major problem either, because I would accept another Doctor. Tennant is my favorite by far. Mm-hmm.
And I think Matt did a good job. I'm not in necessarily the minority, but it is a minority view.
I think Matt did fine. My problem with the show wasn't Matt. I said from the get-go I didn't like the direction that it was going under Moffat. Same thing with Capaldi. Is that how you say his name?
Capaldi.
As an actor, I like him just fine. I think what he's doing, to be fair, I've only seen a few episodes with him because I couldn't take any more. But it wasn't his fault. I like him. I love Clara. Clara is my favorite companion since Rose. The actors were fine. What they did with what they had was fine. It was what they had to work with that I had an issue with.
I think the stories have been good. And last season, I think, ended on a strong note. And this season, I think, started on a strong note. It's just that I think people are, number one, people are butthurt about the master not being the master anymore. She's the mistress.
Okay, that was after I stopped watching.
Sorry.
Spoiler. No, I'm not watching anymore. So spoilers aren't my... I'm not concerned with spoilers, but a little bit of background, because I do know there was some discussion about the master coming back and what that was. So for me and anyone that has stopped watching, brief background.
So towards the end of last season, they did this Cyberman storyline And throughout the season, we saw this character Missy.
I remember seeing Missy, and
there
was
my boyfriend. You're in heaven. That kind of thing.
And there was some speculation,
right, about who she might be, and it did turn out that Missy was short for mistress. She is, and there were two major theories going around at the time that Missy was short for mistress, and that could mean two things. It could mean the master has regenerated into a woman.
Which people should actually like, because that lends credence to the possibility of a female doctor.
Here's the problem with that: nobody wants a female doctor. The realistically, and I'm again not nobody, but it is a very minor subset of Who fans that like the concept of a female doctor.
So
me personally, I don't care.
So they're just a vocal minority.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
They're very vocal.
Yeah, it's a vocal minority. Me personally, I don't care if it's a good actor. Then regardless of what they've got between their legs, if they can act, I don't care.
Right. See, I'm part of the group that thinks it should always be a male.
Well, and that's fine. But yes, by doing that, it does open the door for a possible next incarnation or incarnation down the road to be female. And they have thrown out, okay, well, if it were going to be a female, who would you want it to be? And I've kind of contributed to that because I think that Haley Atwell would be an amazing doctor.
She might be one I would give a chance to. You're right.
If they were going to cast a female doctor, I would love to see Haley Atwell do it. But that being said, so that was one concept. It was the master regenerated into a female, and that's what ended up being the truth. The other side of the coin was, could it be Romana coming back?
Which I think would have been very interesting, too. Right.
For those of you that don't follow the old school Doctor Who, Romana is a time lady that was first introduced during Tom Baker's run. Well, we only saw her in Tom Baker's run. Towards the end of his run, he picked up a time lady companion. She was placed with him by the council, and they went on a hunt for this key. They call it the key to time, and that was a season-long adventure, and it's actually a very good season. The actress got pregnant. They replaced her with a different actress, and they showed this really funny bit about her choosing her new face, because when you force the regeneration, because with the Doctor, his regeneration's always been forced upon him,
right?
Because he's dying.
But they can regenerate at will.
They can regenerate at will, and when they regenerate at will, they pick their new form.
Right.
And so while she did stay female, she went through several options that included an entirely alien-looking species. I think a couple of those, actually. And then settled on a new face. But anyway, that new face became Romana 2, and K9 referred to Romana as Mistress.
Oh.
And same thing, and I think that I want to say that every female that K9 came into contact with that were companions of the Doctor were called Mistress.
That sounds
because
right.
He called the Doctor Master.
Right.
So the Romanas, the Leela, any of those companions that dealt with K9.
Sarah Jane?
Sarah Jane, but later, because Sarah Jane never traveled with K9. Oh. K9 was given to Sarah Jane after, towards the end of the Fourth Doctor's run. A copy of K9 was left with Sarah Jane as a thank you to her, basically, and she has kept K9 all through the years. And that's part of what K9 and Company was. That was Sarah Jane finding K9 in the attic, and then they were going to go off on adventures, and that never really panned out until the Sarah Jane adventures 20 years later.
Right.
But anyway, so there were those two major theories, and what we found out at the end during this Cyberman thing was that Missy was the one behind all the Cybermen, and she finally reveals herself to be the Master Reborn. And so
and correct me if I'm wrong, the last time we had seen the Master before that was when Tennant regenerated.
Right, the end of his run. So we went the entire run of
Matt
without any hint of the Master.
Right.
And so the fact that he's still alive was kind of shocking to begin with, because he was supposedly sucked in and stuck with the Time Lord Council.
Right.
With Rassilon and all of them. So, and I'd have to go back and look, but I don't think they ever really explained why or how the Master got out and what caused the regeneration, whether it was a choice or not.
Well, I mean, it's the Master. Do you really need an explanation?
No, I think it actually works better without it. That's always been one of the cool things about the character. Now, my problem with the current version of the Master is I don't like it. I don't like the current version, even under Russell's run, because it's got no that ethereal connection to what came before that they were able to recreate with the multiple Doctors. Mm-hmm. They've never been able to do that successfully with the Master, in my opinion. Although Missy comes close. She's batshit crazy.
Oh, yeah?
And Scottish. So it's actually really fun when she and Peter get on screen together because they're both Scottish. I don't know that the actress is actually Scottish. Peter really is. Right. And they're letting his Scottish come out. Unlike with David, they didn't let his Scottish come out, right, except for that one episode. But they actually make fun of Peter whenever he gets angry. Whenever the Doctor gets angry, Missy says, "Oh, you know how he'll go all Scottish." And that's really funny because she's clearly Scottish. She's got that Scottish lilt, and I don't know if it's intentional to poke fun at the Doctor or not, but it's very fun. But anyway, the whole thing just really developed, I think, really well. The Missy's behind all the Cybermen attacking the Earth and all that, and then things happen and people die and the Doctor has to save the day. And then the new season picks up with the Doctor is on walkabout, basically. And Missy and Clara have to team up to go find and save him. Because if anybody's going to kill the Doctor, it's going to be Missy.
Well, obviously.
And they bring in Davros and all kinds of stuff. The Davros story that started this season has been very cool. My biggest complaint about this current season is they're doing two-parters. There's 12 episodes in the season. 8 of them are two-parter episodes.
Wow, that is a lot of two-parters.
Yeah, so 4 two-parter shows.
Season.
Yeah, well, no, it's always been 12 or 13 episodes.
Well, I know, but to have that many two-parters in such a short season, that's my
exactly.
point.
So there's only 4 standalone stories in the whole season.
Wow.
So that's been kind of.
But didn't they used to do serials that were a whole season long?
No, absolutely. The old school was a 30-minute episode that had minimum, except for in a few cases, it had a minimum of 3 stories. Right. Most of them had 4, 5, and 6. There's this one dealing with the Daleks that had 12 half-hour episodes. It was a long serial. But then as a lead-up to that, there was a one-shot, a single episode that actually didn't have the Doctor or any of the companions in it. So it was an experiment. And they never tried to repeat that because the fans didn't really like it.
I can't imagine why.
Yeah.
So, going back to the original topic at hand.
Yeah, I got way off track.
Ratings of Doctor Who. If you had to contribute it, one major... Obviously, there's several factors involved, but the biggest factor, what would you...
I think you have to say... if you're going to point a finger and say this is the problem, you have to point it at the showrunner. You have to point it at Stephen Moffat. And I don't think that it's... I really don't think that it's anything he's doing or not doing. I think it's more about the fans. People loved the comeback. And it was so good and so intense, and then it was over. And people were like... what do you mean he just regenerated? We only got 13 episodes with him, and now it's a new Doctor. And they're like, all right, well, let's give the new Doctor a chance. And he was phenomenal out of the gate. It wasn't even a build-up for him.
It really just wasn't.
Boom.
Tennant basically took that role and ran.
Right, from the Christmas Invasion on, everybody loved that interpretation of the Doctor. He did a great job.
Most popular since Tom Baker, is my understanding.
Yes, he is the single most popular Doctor of the new series, and in some polls, he has actually outstripped Tom Baker in pure fandom, and that's something to say.
Yeah, definitely.
But
I think it's Moffat's vision.
Well, I don't think it is. I think it's starting to wear a bit thin again. The show has these ups and downs, and it always have. It was on the air for 26 years before it finally got canceled. But in that time, it had some really bad seasons. It had some really bad stories. It was on the chopping block 3 different times before it finally got put on permanent hiatus. And that's something to understand. The show never officially got canceled. 26 years, it never actually got canceled. It got put on it was sort of on the bubble, and they brought in a new creative team. Tom Baker left. They brought in a new Doctor, breathed some new life into it, and it lasted a little bit longer. And then the 6th Doctor came in, and very few people actually liked what Colin Baker gave, but it wasn't Colin's fault. It was the writing and the direction and the show running. Mm-hmm. And so they put the show on a hiatus. That lasted about a year. Came back, filmed some more episodes, then fired Colin, blamed him for the problem, said it must be you. Fired him, and then brought in Sylvester, and Sylvester got 2 seasons out of it and was gone.
Until the movie.
Right, until the movie. And then and they were actually, they knew what they were going to do the next season. Their plan for the future of Doctor Who was amazing. It has since been co-opted and written as books, and it's amazing what they were going to do. But they said, okay, we're going to put it on hiatus again. Y'all go do what you need to do. We understand. If we come back, we'll let you know, and obviously y'all will be our first choice when the show comes back. But we get it if you're committed. And then years passed.
And more years.
Yeah, and 16 years later, they finally go, all right, well, I guess it's time to put it back on the air. Not quite 16. It took less time to actually decide that, but it took 16 years to actually, from one episode to the next.
Including the movie?
Well, the movie's a little bit different.
The movie's part of continuity.
It is part of continuity.
In fact, it's where we get the regeneration.
Yeah,
for Sylvester
from 8 to 9. I mean, from 7 to 8. And it is absolutely continuity. They have said, yes, this is canon. This is canon.
In fact, we've recently gotten a new 8th Doctor adventure, sort of,
yeah, a little minor adventure to set up the 50th,
which I loved, and I wish they'd have done more with that.
I do too, and I honestly wish they would do a spin-off show of him.
Me too. I would have.
And call it the 8th Doctor Adventures or something.
What we got, the little bit that we saw him in, I really liked him as the Doctor.
Right. So anyway, they went on hiatus. They came back, and so that freshness, that newness of, and it's not just, hey, this is like Supergirl. Okay, Supergirl's coming. Okay, and it's a big deal. Because it's the first time she's ever had her own live action series. Mm-hmm. The only live action they've ever done with her is one movie that was not good, but had its shining moments, especially in the acting of whose name I forgot her name.
Helen Slater.
Thank you, Helen Slater. Helen Slater's portrayal of Supergirl was actually very good. She just didn't have a lot to work with, unfortunately, and she was so new that she didn't have any pull.
Right.
But that being said, it's a big deal. So it's not like it's that where it's this buzz about an entirely new show. It's even bigger because it's buzz about a new show that carries on a tradition of British sci-fi drama.
Right.
that lasted 26 years, and the people who were going to be watching it were the people who grew up watching it, hiding behind their couches while the monsters came out. And that's something that it spoke to a certain nostalgia. And so here we are 10 years after that point. It's like any show that's been on the air for 10 years in this current day and age. It's starting to lose its luster.
I think that is part of it. I think you're onto something there.
I think even RTD, even Russell T Davies, had he stayed with the show, even he couldn't have kept it going this long without people starting to lose interest. I think it is time to change showrunners. Whenever they decide that Peter's run is done, they need to also change showrunners at the same time, just like they did when going from David to Matt. Now, I think that's part of the reason that people didn't open up to Matt as fast, is because it wasn't just a different doctor. It was a completely different feel of the show immediately. It's a new doctor, a new TARDIS, a new companion, a new showrunner, new imagery. It's a darker show because this is, after he's had to choose between his two homes. He's had to banish his fellow Time Lords back into the abyss, basically. Now, we later find out that that's not exactly what happened. That where they are is not where we thought they were.
Right.
And I think that's kind of cool. But, I think that because the feel is so different, because the actor is so different, because the companions are so different, and I'll admit I hated Rory. I like Amy, but I like Amy as Amy. I don't like Amy and Rory, and I don't like Rory. Amy by herself worked for me. When they added Rory as a permanent, that's when it's a lot like when they tried to put Mickey in the second season. I didn't like those episodes, not as much.
Yeah. See, and Amy had her moments, but I never liked her as much as any of the companions that came before.
Oh, I like her more than Donna. Donna's fun, don't get me wrong, but Donna's my least favorite of the current run.
Martha's my least favorite. Or no, other than Amy.
Everybody has their preferences. Well, actually, okay, technically, Rory is my least favorite.
Because he was a companion.
He is technically a companion. I like Mickey better than I like Rory.
Mickey grew on me. I did not like him at first, but as the character grew, because he had a lot of character development.
By the time that Mickey decides to stay in the other universe, and then, of course, we see him come back later. But yes, that Mickey was good. The initial bits of Mickey, especially in the first season.
Oh, no, that was awful.
Mickey was a whiny little pup.
Yeah, it was. He whiny as fuck.
Oh, my God, I'm the tin dog. But anyway.
He really was.
So, yeah, I think a large part of what's wrong with Doctor Who now is it's lost its sheen. It's not new anymore. The public consciousness, the attention span has changed over the years, and we don't appreciate the quality for as long. That's why shows don't last.
That being said, I don't think Doctor Who's in danger of being canceled anytime soon. They're still making a crap ton of merchandise.
Yeah, no, it's still doing fairly well, but if the trend continues, it won't be much longer. It won't make it to 20 years.
No.
If it continues the way it's going now, we won't see another 10 years. We may see another 3 at this point. That's my estimation. We may see one more regeneration. So it depends on when they decide to get rid of Peter. Which, as far as we know, is not this time around.
Right.
We know we're losing Clara, but we're as far as we know, we're not losing Peter.
Which
we also don't know when or how Clara's. They're being very secretive about Clara's departure, and that's great.
And they've been teasing that for over a year now.
Well, yeah, because for some reason, even though we knew she was signed on for this season, they were teasing that Clara was leaving the show at the end of last year. And in fact, that was one of the last conversations they had. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I don't like you. you have ruined me.
Yeah.
And that sort of changed for her. I think her grief process, and that's she fell in love with another school teacher. He died in the Cyberman invasion.
I saw the Christmas episode. I gathered that much.
So she is still grieving over him. Even here we are, however long that's been now. She's still grieving for that loss, and still sort of blames him and blames herself. And I suspect that's what's going to eventually lead to her departure from the show.
Okay. Well, we'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
Obviously, Doctor Who has a long history, and it in and of itself has regenerated many times and become something new. So it could still happen.
Yeah, let's face it. Every time there's a new Doctor, the show is new.
Mm-hmm. So we'll see what happens, and we might get another 10 years. We might get another 5.
Just have to wait and see. As it's going right now, I don't expect another 10 years at all. 5 would be pushing it.
So that wraps it up for today.
All right.
That's all we have time for.
Yeah, see, you get me talking on Doctor Who, and I'll go forever.
Yep. I want to thank everyone for watching, everyone that's stuck with us through our hiatus. And
see, here's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping people are just subscribed, and then it just pops up, and they'll go, ooh!
What was that?
Ooh!
Yeah! So, anyway, check us out on Twitter and Facebook. And
we're out there. Twitter,
YouTube.
Facebook, YouTube. I don't think we have an Instagram yet.
We don't. We should.
For what?
That's my mission before Comic-Con. I will bring you pictures from Comic-Con on Instagram. Great idea.
I'm sorry, everybody.
So look for that too. Anyway, we're out there. We will try to have at least one episode a month. That's my goal starting out, is to go for one a month. Maybe more if we can, but at least one a month. That's 12 episodes a year. I think we can maybe manage that.
Maybe. We'll see.
So anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.